Greetings from wherever you are in the Toastmasters universe. I'm Rhonda Young, the District 38 Director, and it delights my heart that Anne has extended an invitation to all of you, far and near, to be a part of our Speechcraft training that she provides on an ongoing basis for our district and obviously now for yours. How many of you know Anne already by raise of hands? Most people. But for the benefit of those that do not know Anne, I do have a brief bio that I'll read to you because I want to get this absolutely crisp, clear, and concise. I don't want to leave out any of her credentials. I can speak from the heart, but it already has most of what is in Anne's printed bio. So Anne Golden, distinguished Toastmaster. She joined Toastmasters in 2015, achieving several awards for her successful leadership and devotion to helping others in Toastmasters District 38. She was previously a Toastmaster of the Year and Superhero for her service to our district, and has held every officer position, serving various clubs, and served District 38 leadership as the Division Director, an Area Director, Administration Manager, and Officer Training Coordinator. She is currently the District 38 Speechcraft Coordinator, Masterclass Coordinator, and for District 83, the Club Extension Chair. So she has 3 prominent roles within Toastmasters among 2 districts. Anne is dedicated to fostering relationships and sharing information and her knowledge and experience to help others learn different strategies for success. Thus, the Speechcraft Coordinator webinars were developed to share the in-depth knowledge she gained from her experience this past year as a Speechcraft Coordinator for the Ora Lee Cancer Research Foundation. She is knowledgeable in the Pathways Education Program, completing 7 paths. She is a Toastmasters enthusiast. I call her the Toastmasters Sherpa. Wherever Anne goes in Toastmaster, I will absolutely follow. And I would encourage you all to do the same. Without further ado, please help me to welcome our facilitator for tonight's session, Anne Golden, DTM.
Thank you, Rhonda, for that awesome introduction. And good evening, everyone. I am so delighted to see everyone here tonight. And as Rhonda said, this came about because when I did the Speechcraft event as a Speechcraft coordinator, I had difficulty finding information. I found out that Speechcraft was it was a top secret information for Toastmasters International. There is nothing out there on the web. Just a little bit of information, but it doesn't give you the nitty-gritty of what it takes to be a Toastmaster, a Speechcraft coordinator. Therefore, I developed this. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to first show you the overview where you can find it on toastmasters.org. Then I'm going to walk you through the purchasing process. And that is involved, and you need to understand your responsibility with regards to Toastmasters guarded material with Speechcraft. And then I'm going to walk you through my planning and organization process as the Speechcraft coordinator, because I conducted an 8-session one. Then I'm going to cover what your responsibilities are as the coordinator and where you can get your resources to help you. Then I have a pre-recorded video of the Speechcraft portal itself and what you need to know about maneuvering that. Now that's pre-recorded because that's proprietary information. So while I had access to the portal, I was able to pre-record it. So that's the scenario that we're set up for. I do have handouts. I generally hand it out sporadically, but I think what I'll do before I start, I think I'm going to put in the chat the handouts. And I added I added a special handout that I got from my friend in District 13, Fred Warnbrock. And it's a Speechcraft checklist. And I reviewed that and I said, why didn't I use that before? And it will be very helpful. So, and I even edit his document and I put on it that it's courtesy of Fred because he didn't put his name on it. So I want to give credit where credit is due. So I'm going to put in chat all the handouts from the beginning so that you have them. And that way you can refer to them as I walk through the process with some of it. Does that sound like a good deal for everybody? Good way to proceed? All right, so before I begin, let me put these documents into the chat. Here says event. That's Fred's event preparation. Get another file. These are the training links. The links to everything that I'm going to show you today so that you have them. And then I'm going to give you a copy of the content overview, which is a handout that you can get from Speechcraft. This will help you to understand some of the credit. And then, yeah, I did create a document with copying it from Toastmasters.org, the governing. Now we'll begin. I'm going to share my screen. This is going to be live. There are no slides. What I'll do is there's a lot to cover. So I'm going to cover a section. I'm going to stop and ask if there's any questions, and then I'll move on to the next session. I think the slides take away from the view. So I'm going to actually walk through the websites live so that you can see actually what's going on. And I find that works best. Let me open up one web page that I want, right? Now, you do know with Zoom that I have to stop and reshare sometimes because of that. But this is where I want to show you where you can find your initial information about Speechcraft. And it's on the Toastmasters homepage. You don't have to be signed in to see it. It's public information. And it's under the Education Programs and the Speechcraft tab. This is an important video that you should watch. It gives you an overall experience of what Speechcraft is about. But it is from this page where you can access important information, like the information that I gave you in the chat. It's the Speechcraft content overview. There's a frequently asked question and the credit and how the Speechcrafters get credit for their speeches, which I put in the chat. But it's also where you can go to buy the bundle directly and go right to the gateway. Their portal is called the Speechcraft Gateway. But for now, I'm going to take you right to buy the digital bundle. Now, the bundle itself is $50. $50 for 5 participants. You get marketing material with it. You get an invitation. This is an important video from the international speaker. He talked about vocal variety. That's very informative. There's a guide, a Speechcraft Coordinator guide. Now, the Speechcraft bundle, as the coordinator, the person purchasing the bundle is generally the person that is the coordinator. However, it must be sponsored by a club. District, an area, or a division cannot sponsor a Speechcraft workshop. It must be sponsored at the club level because it's for the benefit of the club to get new members. And the person who's sponsoring it must be in good standing. And the club must be in good standing. There are the requirements. Now, with the purchase of the bundle, you get initial information. And like I said, you get the Speechcraft Coordinator Quick Start Guide. You'll get a login to the base camp. When you purchase the bundle, you will get an order number. It's very important that you save that order number. That is your access to the gateway when you go to sign in. You will need, once you sign in, to be able to start your Speechcraft workshop, you need to put that number in. So it's very important that you keep the order number handy and do not lose it. It is recommended that you have one coordinator for every 5 participants. And that's a good ratio to have. What I want to cover with the purchase of the digital bundle is this legal information down here. Remember in the beginning, I said it's top secret? Well, this is their best product, but because people steal Toastmasters information and things like that, certain things on the portal you cannot share. You can download it, create your own presentations from the material on the portal and the gateway for your use during those workshops. But you are not free to take that reproduced information and share it around the world with other Toastmasters and say, here, I'm going to save you the trouble. No, 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 no. That's a no-no. You're not allowed to do that. Toastmasters, it's for your use during your time as the coordinator. And this is covered by policy 4.0 and protocol 5.0. It's real important that you understand that. And even putting the webinar together, I was extremely careful with the information that I share. And you can use it as a fundraiser for your club. And these are the policies that cover it. This is the fundraising policy. And what that means, the bundle is $50. Technically, it's $10 per person. When it's organized and sponsored by the club, it's up to the club to decide who's going to pay for the $50 bundle. If I'm a member in a club and I need to do a Speechcraft for my DTM, I can say, I'll buy it. But it's up to the club when it's sponsored at the club level. The idea is that you can charge a tuition to the Speechcraft attendees, because who are the Speechcraft attendees? They're non-Toastmasters. Some of them do a Speechcraft because they may have a toast for a wedding. They may have a certain event that they have to do a current presentation, and they want to come up to speed on their public speaking skills. The club can sponsor it, and you can charge as much as a 12-month membership fee. But you can't charge more than that. So therefore, membership dues are $60. So you charge $60 for the tuition, plus whatever the cost of the bundle is, if that's what you wish to do. Me, they came to us. I didn't do it through a club. They came to the district and wanted a Speechcraft. I only charged them the cost of the bundle per person, $10. And I had my club, who I was VPE, very conveniently sponsor the Speechcraft workshop. But that's up to the club to decide what they want to do with that. Right, and you cannot, the Speechcraft coordinator must be from the sponsoring club. It has to be a member from the sponsoring club. It can't be another member from another club. Unless the two clubs are going to join together to sponsor a Speechcraft workshop because you have more than 5, then you can have the other club sponsor it. And then they could have a coordinator from their sponsoring club. But realize that they're going to sponsor it with the idea of trying to get those 5 participants to become their members. But we work together as Toastmasters, and it's all about growing membership. I want to stop right there on the purchasing. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if there's any questions about purchasing the bundle and the legal language surrounding it. Or does anybody have anything further that they want to add that they know about the Speechcraft bundle that maybe I had missed? Any questions? Mary Jo?
I'm not ready to do the Speechcraft, but I'd like to purchase the bundle. Can I do that? And maybe currently I am a club coach.
Right.
So I'm thinking maybe next September or so. Can I purchase it now or do I
Yes.
have to wait?
No, you can purchase it now. And you may even consider that down the road if you're the coach of that club or whatever. No, you can't use it for that. I'm thinking out of the box here. Yes, you can purchase it because I purchased mine in November of last year and I actually did not do the Speechcraft until February. So you can purchase it ahead of time.
Do I need to get my club to sign on to say that down the road, or do I have to include any of that information on my purchase that I've lined up?
No.
with the club? Okay. Thank
No.
you.
Okay. Yes, Jin.
Quick question here. So are we only allowed to do a Speechcraft up to 5, not more?
Yes, 5 participants, right? 5 participants per bundle.
But if I want to do more than that, is that allowed or no? Or
Yeah,
do I just
you
have to
buy
do?
another bundle.
Okay.
You buy another bundle. You have to buy another bundle. But it's not recommended that you personally do the Speechcraft for 10 people. I did it. It's hard. It can be done. I did it. But there's a lot of work. Once I get through this, you're going to see why you may want to have a second coordinator. You don't want to do it all yourself. There's a lot of work involved in it as a coordinator. But yes, you can purchase 3 bundles. If you got 3 members that want to be coordinators, you could do that. You're not limited to the number of bundles that you purchase. But remember, it's highly recommended that one Toastmaster as a Speechcraft coordinator to every 5. And if you buy additional and you only have 3 and you don't have the full 5, those other 2 seats, if you don't fill them, they're lost. So you're out the revenue. And you can't save them for another future class. You're assigned a purchase order number and that's per bundle.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
Yes, I wanted to know when the actual timing starts. I know there's a certain amount of time that you have to complete the program in, and I wanted to know what starts the clock.
When you begin your first session. And you have up to 2 weeks before I'm going to go through that. I'm going to go through that when I show you the portal. I want to save that information for when I go through the portal, because I cover it all at that. But it starts when you start your first session. And then I'll go into how you can extend the beginning and the end of it. All right, I'll cover it at that point. Any other questions on the purchase of the bundle? If not, I'd like to move on to the planning session, which is a lot of fun. I loved it. No, it's not. No, you can't use it as a one-day workshop. No. It's much more involved than that. It's not a one-day workshop. It's just too much. It's like trying to cram 5 speeches into one day and expect the people to retain all the information they learn and be able to do their speeches. It's like, it's a mini Toastmasters meeting, if you look at it like that, stretched over a period of time.
Okay, I was asking for someone else.
Okay.
So, no.
All right.
Thank you.
The first thing you need to decide after you purchase your bundle you can have a 4-week session, a 6-week session, or an 8 session. Now, I know some here do a 4-week session and they're very successful with it. Mine was an 8-week session. And I did that for the group that I was having because it was beneficial for them. And we were going to cover all the topics. I gave you a handout that tells you basically what the topics are. There are 10 subjects or eight subjects that are covered. And basically, for those of us that were pre-pathways, it's the CC manual. It's the basic Toastmasters training for public speaking. How to select a topic, power words, vocal variety and body language, research and presenting, those type of things that there is a lecture that is given to teach the speech crafters about these particular subjects. So if you're not going to do the full 8 sessions, you're going to have to review the curriculum and decide what topics do you think are the most important to cover for your 4 or 6 week session, because you're not going to be able to cover, well, I couldn't cover everything. Let me put it that way. I needed the 8-week sessions to cover all the topics. That's the first thing. And you'll need to advise the speech crafters on the scheduled topics because they need to complete their homework before the class. Come prepared to be able to do the work that's going to be required of them. You also have to decide where you're going to have it. I did mine outside the club. There are others that do the Speechcraft and they hold it within their club meeting. And that way they get their members to fill the meeting roles that are required for the sessions. Because you need a general evaluator, you need a table topics master, you need a timer, you need evaluators. So some people conduct it within the club. I preferred outside the club because then I could focus strictly on the speech crafters and I didn't have to worry about managing a club meeting because mine were 2-hour sessions and I held it virtually. And most people only have a 1-hour session. I did it for 2 hours. So it was a 2-hour session. And you need to set the dates and times. So therefore planning, you need to start planning at least 4 weeks out, minimum 4 weeks out, because you have to think this all out. You have to coordinate with the group when it's convenient to hold these Speechcraft sessions. So because I didn't hold mine with my club, I had to select a different date and time than my club meeting to hold these sessions. And we did 2 hours. It was a full 2-hour Toastmaster meeting. And I had 10 participants. That's why it was 2 hours, because I needed the opportunity to give everybody a chance to speak. If you only have 5, you can probably do it in an hour, but I had 10. So therefore my sessions were 2 hours. How to market. There's tips in the Coordinator Quick Guide, how to market. But I'm going to tell you, I am not a marketing guru for Speechcraft. I didn't have to market it. I didn't have to draw people. So I haven't done that. It was handed to me on a silver platter, and I was forever grateful. I didn't have to do the hard work. If you want to know how to market your Speechcraft, Cheryl Rouse, accredited speaker from District 65, she will be doing a Speechcraft masterclass for District 38. She's posting it on Facebook. So if you're active on Facebook and the International Toastmasters community, she's doing them all along, but she's going to do one for District 38 on October 30th. And her focus is marketing. She covers a few of the overview things that I'm covering right now, but basically she tells you how to market it and bring people to get people to come and how to turn them into members. I highly recommend that you attend her session and look for her on Facebook. She is phenomenal, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. So she's the marketing guru. Let me get into the recruitment for each session, as I said. You need a Toastmaster, you need a general evaluator. This is how I ran my sessions. I ran it like a Toastmaster meeting. Now I'm holding an 8-week session. And for the first meeting, there were 2 educational presentations that they recommended to be done, and I did that. Well, you need experienced Toastmasters to give those educational presentations to the speech crafters. Where are you going to get all these volunteers? I reached out to my network within District 38. I reached out to past district directors who I'm friends with to come and do educational presentations on the different topics. Now, how are you going to coordinate all this? I want to share with you a spreadsheet that I put together. And I want to make sure everybody can see it. All right, there's session 6 and 7, and as I completed them, I moved them down. But I needed an evaluator for the educational presenter. I needed a general evaluator. I needed an educational presenter. I needed a table topics master, and that is different than normally in a club, the table topic role that you give to the speechcrafter, and a timer. That's why you need 4 weeks in advance, because you need to get your volunteers for your session and you need to coordinate it. So what I did was I went through the subject material, the topic material that Speechcraft gave me of the different sessions that would be required 1 through 8. And I created a validation tab, as you'll see over here, role validation. And I listed all the topics that were going to be covered. What I did, I shared this spreadsheet with people I asked to volunteer. And I said, just come in and sign up. And I listed all the sessions and the dates so that they could pick what they wanted. And then up at the top, they could pick what role they wanted. See, this was a drop-down menu. And that was created by the validation. So they could pick what role they wanted. So look, I needed 8 roles per meeting. I reached out and wrote to everybody. Some came back and did several roles. One person came back for every meeting. She loved it so much she came back for every meeting. But you need to get these people to help you run the sessions. Very important. And the education presentations are like 8 to 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes. And where do you get this material? Right? Like, yes, they gave me handouts and they told me that this was the subject to cover. But nowhere did anybody tell me, where am I going to get the outline for this? We know Toastmasters gives us all resources and outlines so that any good presenter, you can take that and you can present your presentation from the materials provided to you, right? I even went to a training session for Speechcraft so I could find out. And they never mentioned the secret words. And you know what the secret words are? The Better Speaker series. It's the Better Speaker series where the educational material comes from. So you're given an outline for the education presentation of what Toastmasters wants you to cover in that topic. But you don't have to build a presentation from scratch. You can use the Better Speaker series. It aligns with the Better Speaker series. And you get your information from that. And I supplied all that material to each of my educational presenters and said, here you go. And I researched and I found other material. I would send it to them and say, okay, put your presentation together. I wanted them to be fully prepared because they're depending upon you. What do you want me to talk about, Anne? And how do you want me to cover it? So as the coordinator, it's up to you to see that your non-Toastmasters are given the right education and explanation of things so that they can understand. And then they're evaluated. So for the first meeting, there are no icebreaker speeches. The first meeting is all about introducing yourselves, getting to know one another. And then you need Speechcraft guides. Speechcraft guides. I thought I'm just running a meeting and giving them lessons and telling them to write their speech. No. They need guidance, right? So you need experienced Toastmasters to act as your Speechcraft guides. And it's 1 guide per Speechcrafter. And that's what they're called, Speechcrafters. I reached out across district. I got someone from District 100. Annette Sally Works was one of my guides. And they mentor the individual, help them with their speeches if they have questions. And they're the ones I had evaluate the Speechcrafters on their icebreakers. Because during the session, there is a 15-minute period where the Speechcrafter and their guides go into separate Zoom rooms. In my case, it was all virtual, and they would meet one-on-one and have a discussion. And that's where the guides build their rapport with their Speechcrafters. They talked about their delivery. They gave them hints about, how to present their speeches. They answered their questions if they had any questions. It's a whole learning workshop. And it's intense. And they loved it. I got rave reviews from that 8-week session. It was very involved. And then after, because I had 10, so I had 2 meetings where the icebreakers were. But then after the icebreakers were evaluated by the guides, they now had to evaluate one another. It was like a speakathon. You spoke and then you evaluated. And I paired them up because they have to learn how to evaluate. But these are all, and you have to teach them this process. So that's why I took 8 sessions. I wanted them to get the full gamut of what it means to be a Toastmaster. I see there's questions in the chat for Rhonda. Are there any more that I need to?
No, just comments, great planning, good feedback, where to download a form from. So no question for you to answer at this time.
The guides must attend every session, unless for some reason they can't. But they need to be there for every session for their speech crafters. Now, over 8 weeks, did I have 100% attendance? No. Life happens. You work with it. But you get to know up front they need to be there for every session if possible. And I wrote them their whole outline of their responsibility, what was expected of them as a guide, so they knew coming in what it is they were supposed to do. All right, because they're actually the mentor for the speech crafter, and they are to walk them through from beginning to end. And I had them exchange phone numbers and everything like that, and emails so that they could be in contact with one another. And as the coordinator, I followed up with the Speechcraft guides to see that the communication was going on and that things were happening. So I'm going to show this. This may seem simple, but I find that when I share this, it is amazing that people say, thanks, I never thought of that. So I'm not assuming that you don't know how to be organizational. I'm just going to show you what I did to show. Let me share this and bring up. Do you see the Speechcraft folder?
Yes.
The Speechcraft project folder? That's what I created. As you see, I downloaded the Better Speakers series. I even have my feedback. But for each session, I created a subfolder. And what was in that was the materials that I needed to cover, so I would know what I needed to have. The educational topic, all right, the agenda, the icebreaker speech method outline, the educational session of choose a topic. So I had all that in each session so that I knew I had the materials to give to the people that needed it, the speech crafters and my guides, so that they could be prepared. And I'm going to show you what a Speechcraft agenda looks like. Can you see the agenda? Did it come up, or do I have to stop sharing? Do I have to stop sharing, Rhonda?
We do. Yes, we're
All
only
right.
seeing the folder.
Okay, so that's what I recommend you do, that you create a folder for your Speechcraft and break it out by session, because there is a lot of resources and materials that you need. And this is the 8-week session agenda, and this is what it looks like. All right, for session 1, you're going to talk to them about speakers' skills, and they have a self-assessment that they have to do, just like we do. There's a self-assessment in the beginning, midterm, and afterwards that the speech crafters need to do. And this is the educational presentation for session 1, selecting a topic. And then I had an evaluator to do that, because they should get credit for their Pathways projects. A Toastmaster should never speak for free. Someone told me that, and I love that phrase. And then then you prepare for the next session, and then here you go. It's called the Speaker Guide Workshop. It's about a 10-minute where they intersperse with one another and discuss things. Then I have a general evaluator. I run it like a Toastmasters meeting, so they get a true sense of what it's about. Does that make sense? All right, so it's
Yeah.
real important that you organize 4 weeks out minimum. Get your volunteers. You need a lot of volunteers, and I even had an odd counter in my meeting. I added an odd counter. So they got the full scope of a full meeting. And then they evaluated one another. And then we did table topics. So it's a lot of fun, and their speeches are shorter. Their icebreakers are not 4 to 6, they're 2 to 3. They're not 5 to 7 for their other speeches, it's 3 to 5. However, the guides wanted them, since we were having so many and we were 2 hours, they said, let's see if we can get them to do it 4 to 6 and 5 to 7. So we challenged them. If you want to do a 4 to 6 icebreaker, great. Want to do a 5 to 7? Great. There's no penalty if you don't reach the 5-minute mark, but we're going to challenge you. And some of them took up the challenge and did that. And it gave them a chance to develop their speeches even more. Yes, Jen.
How many volunteers do you have in your own Speechcraft? And when you say they get credit, do you mean the pathway credit?
Yes. Once they join Toastmasters. Once they join Toastmasters, they will get credit for their speeches. There's a process to that, but they will get credit if they become
Oh,
a
I see.
Toastmaster
Okay,
and
gotcha,
join your
gotcha.
club.
All right.
Yep. And you should meet with your guides once a meet. We had power sessions after our meeting as well to discuss how things were going, how the meetings were going, and any adjustments that needed to be. It's very important to communicate with those guides on a regular basis. It's also very important to communicate to the speech crafters that they're doing their work, because they need to do the pre-assessment. It's only for them, so that they can evaluate themselves. Midway through, they do another assessment, and at the end. Did they do it at the end? I prod it, and no, but it doesn't hurt them. It's not like they're not going to get credit for doing it. It's like us doing our assessments in Basecamp portal. But for us, if we don't do the after assessment, we don't get credit. Any question on the organization and what it takes to run a meeting? Because that was a lot of material. Okay. Now, I gave you all the resources and the handouts.
And there's a question from Mary Jo. She has a
Hi,
hand.
about how much time did one of your mentors need to spend each week? They attended the meeting and they also met with the new person, the Speechcraft.
Right, they
Attendees.
met with them during the meeting and they were available. We met every other week for 8 weeks. So my sessions ran from February 13th to May 22nd. It was too much to do it every week.
Right,
And
yeah.
it worked out well for their schedule. Some people do it every week. So it's kind of incentive for them, because when they join Toastmasters, club meetings are only every other week and they feel like they get a break. They don't have to prepare a speech every week.
Oh,
So there's an advantage to having it every week to get them to join. But I spread mine out every other week because it worked well for the client. And it gave them a chance to prepare. And honestly, they didn't really have to spend a whole lot of time with their mentee, the
okay.
speech crafter, because they used the meeting session for that one-on-one.
Oh, good.
And then we had time sometimes after the end of the meeting for discussions as well. And then it was just communication if they were having problems with writing a speech or if they needed help with something.
Okay.
So I don't think they spent more than maybe an hour every 2 weeks communicating with them if they had to do that, because they were sort of, again, it depends on who your speech crafters are too. These were excellent speech crafters. They were educated. They had their act together. They wowed us with their speeches from the beginning. It all depends on the knowledge of the person that you're working with as well. And so, and I'm not saying people are stupid. I don't mean that. I would never say that, but it depends. So wasn't that difficult. They understood the concepts from the beginning. And I think we did a good job in explaining things to them. And if you do that, then you save your time later because they understand it. And they understand what they need to do.
So,
And
so
that's
that
the
group
important
came,
thing.
that group came in with a good knowledge and you just elevated through the
Yes.
program. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Form 870 explains the credit. That's on the resources. In the resources that I gave you, it will be there when you go to the resource site of Toastmasters.org. That shows you per speech path, and I think I might have even included it in my attachments. For now, it's 7:30, and I want to move on to I'm going to close. So there's no questions about the legal, so I'm going to close those windows. And it's the protocol 5.0, in case I didn't clarify that, that tells you that you can only do Speechcraft at the club level, just like the youth leadership program. And I gave you the link for the Better Speaker series, which is in the store under resources. It's downloadable, it's digital, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it. It's all free. Close the Speechcraft bundle. Close that. All right. Now we're going to get to the nitty gritty. And what this is the pre-recorded message of the Speechcraft portal. And this is important stuff. And I want to share my sound. And where is it? Okay. And let me start it. This is your login. But before you log in, you do have an opportunity to see what the Speechcraft is about. There are overview information that you can get without buying the bundle. I suggest you listen to this very important video that tells you about the Speechcraft experience and explains the portal and how it works. That's very important. Up here, if you click the overview, it will take you to overview. And it explains the overview. And for quick synopsis of Speechcraft content, here you go. It's going to take you to Toastmaster Speechcraft content, which I showed you can download from Toastmasters website, all at one shot from that resource page. Get all your information from resource so you're not spending extra time downloading material. Here's the coordinator. Again, this will take you to the Toastmasters website to buy it, the coordinator quick start guide, and the participant quick start guide. I already told you to get that information from the store, so you're ahead of the game. This is an important webinar that you would have to watch. It's about 61 minutes long. But when you click on that, you have to register. You have to register and since I've already done it and I'm in my Speechcraft, it shows you the date and time that I registered to watch that webinar. And therefore, you would have to fill this form out to be able to watch that webinar. Did I lose my space? Toastmasters International. Okay, there we go. Then it tells you who would be interested in attending. And this is important to know, and this is going to help you decide how many sessions you're going to have. Let's suppose you want to do a Speechcraft webinar for your corporate executives, separate from your club. They don't have the time for an 8-week course. You will more likely do a 4-session course, a 4-week course. And You could work with them on picking out the topics that you want to cover. And then you would concentrate on the 4 most important topics with them. So this is going to determine your session. If it's someone that wants to become a Toastmaster or wants even more knowledge, then your 8th session is going to be more the type of session that you would hold. But if it's someone that just wants an introduction to public speaking, you could hold the 4th session. Now I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to log in because I want to share with you Here we go. All right. So the first time you log in, you could go to the coordinator guide, or you can go to create an event. Let's see, I did click on the coordinator guide. I don't know why that came up. Okay, so it's going to take you to the coordinator guide, and it's going to give you the coordinator overview. And then it's going to outline for you how to quick start your preparation before the event is created, things I have gone over. And this is stuff you should have covered before you even come in to create your event. And I've covered that already. So we're going to go to create a new event. And this is real important. You must decide what you're going to name your event. Because once you name it, you cannot change the name of the event. You can change the beginning date if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before, and you can change the end date. You can extend it if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before the end date. But once you name your event, that's the one thing you can't change. So be careful of your spelling and everything else, that it's spelled correctly. I tend to have a capital letter in the middle of mine. I'll show you what I mean. You don't need to put the club's URL. If they have a free toast post or whatever, you don't need to know that. But this is why I want to emphasize that when you make the purchase, save that bundle order number. That is really important. You cannot activate your Speechcraft workshop without that bundle order number. So once you get confirmation and they give you a bundle order number, save that in a safe spot. Create yourself a Speechcraft portal or a Speechcraft folder on your computer and save it there, because you can't access the portal without it. And then they will ask you to verify your coordinator information here. And then you have to enter in the event details. See here, event name. It's really important that you name it what you want to call it. Mine was the Orally Speechcraft. Name it for your company if you want, or if it's for a special event. Speechcraft interviews, or interviews, Speechcraft for interviews, or whatever. You don't have to pick your date at this time. But if you are, you would click on this and provide the date and the time zone. But to get started, you don't have to pick your date yet, but you have to name it to be able, and you have to agree to the terms and condition. And once you hit that and submit it, then
Want to pause it for a minute there,
to your event.
if I can? Or can I pause it? What if you go back there, it was asking you for a cost, if you've seen in the bottom of that screen. And that's why you determine what you're going to charge. They're asking you what you're charging when you create this new event. So you need to decide that ahead of time. If you look at the bottom of this. That's the beauty about pre-recording. See, it says provide attendee price down there at the very bottom. Do you see that? So you need to know that information. Sorry about that. Little glitch.
And is it playing on your screen?
Yes,
It's not playing for us.
it's not playing for you.
No.
All right, so I'll stop and reshare.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, but you have to name it. Is it playing now? And you have to agree to the terms and conditions.
Yes.
Once you hit that and submit it, then it will take you to your event page. And this is what I'm telling you about spelling. You see? See how my Speechcraft is? It's all in caps except for the S. You want to make sure. Then you will have to add your participants. And once this comes up, you'll see where you can add. Since I've already started mine and I have the participants, I really can't show you. This would be empty. It would tell you to add the person. You have to add them by name and email address. All right, and they will be added. You have to make sure they register for the event because they will receive an email notice saying that they've been added. And they have to click on that link and register for the event to become a participant. And this will let you know if they've been registered or not. So there's some follow-up in the beginning as well. Then once you set that all up, it'll say, go to my Speechcraft Learning. And it's going to take to your Speechcraft portal in Basecamp. And it's going to look quite similar to what Pathways is. What I did was I've always clicked on the learning. You want a shortcut, when you click learning, what is here, these tabs are also in the learning tab. It says introduction start here. That is for the coordinators to start here. And it's going to take you to a video of the Speechcraft Coordinator. And it's going to take you to a video. The important thing to know is they're all slides or it's a video. This is a slide. It says start project and you'll go through each of these. And if you click on this, it'll jump you to the introduction. What's important to know is every time you view a slide, there are resources over here in the upper right-hand corner. Do you see that? Download those resources and save them to your Speechcraft. Does everybody see that on the right-hand side? All right. Folder. You will need them for a reference later. You will find that helpful. I'm going to end this, and to exit out of the tabs that you are in each of the Speechcraft portals is you just do that and it'll bring you back. It's going to bring you back to your Pass and Learning page, similar to the Basecamp portal. This is for you, how to get started. Open the curriculum. This is your Speechcraft Coordinator's introduction and your Speechcraft Coordinator planning. You need to launch that. You have some learning to do before you even conduct the Speechcraft. That's why I said you need 3 to 4 weeks before you do your Speechcraft so that you can learn what you need to do to conduct the Speechcraft. It's the same thing as your Basecamp Pass and Learning page. If you open up in Basecamp in Pathways, if you open up all the resources, when you go to the resource page for the evaluation forms and you come to your Pass and Learning, you'll see it here with all your projects. Don't worry about having to mark it complete or not. It's just showing that you had activated it and if you want to mark it complete. So that's how to get started. Then, for each session, you have a guide as to what to present at that session. They guide you. And you launch that. And that is another slide presentation. And I'll hit restart. And again, Coordinator's Guide, Session 1, choose a topic. That's what your objective is. Choose a topic. Teaching them how to choose a topic to write a speech. Talks about your first session, and these are the 3 objectives. It walks you through the steps. You want to introduce the Speechcraft program. You want to develop speech topic selection skills and impromptu speaking. That's where table topics is introduced. And on this slide, on these here, it shows you and it tells you what you need to do with the table topics. Again, I'm not going through that, but here's your resources for session 1. As you see, they have a session 1 8 agenda, a session 1 6 agenda, and a session 1 agenda for 4 sessions. It gives you an outline and it's easy to follow. I recommend downloading all of them. They even have a blank template. This Speechcraft self-assessment before, what is that? Before the Speechcrafters can begin, they have a self-assessment that they need to do, and they do it online. What they're advising you to do here is to download it and print it as a PDF and be able to share it with the Speechcrafters in case someone has problem technically with accessing it on the Speechcraft portal. So that's the before. Now, remember I talked about educational presentations. Well, here's the outline for that presentation. As you see in session 1, there are 2. In each session, they will give you an outline for the educational presentation that needs to be given. Select the speech topic presentation outline and the value of improving public speaking. You give that to your 2 educational presenters. It gives them a guideline as to what Toastmasters is looking for the presenter to provide the Speechcrafters, what information. And then you go to the Better Speaker series and see what type of information they offer you for that. And then you formulate your presentation based on your research of the resources. And that's how any good presenter puts together the material for a presentation. And that's how.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you able to increase the volume on the video itself?
What is that? Yeah, let me see.
So not on your computer, but on that screen where you are now. Yep.
Okay, so let me move
Oops.
that. Oh, you can't hear it, huh? It's up to 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me increase the volume on my computer. Better speak universal.
How's
Okay,
that?
so let me move this.
That's better.
So
Okay.
and you would have to go through each of these. I recommend in the beginning, if you have the time, download all 8 sessions. Take the time to go through the sessions and know what you need to know. If you don't, at least download the first 3 to begin with, go through those lessons and learn what you need to know, and then work ahead until you have all of them. You need to be prepared for each session ahead of you. And then you have videos as a Speechcraft. Getting started on Basecamp as a Speechcraft coordinator, it walks you through the step on how to work the Basecamp here in Speechcraft. And it gives you an overview. It's a video. You have written information, and then you have a video that explains everything. So far, so good, because that is a lot of information. I'm going to pause it there. Any questions on any of that at that point? And if not, I'll continue. Okay, let me continue. Now, similar to Pathways as the Basecamp manager, you will notice this is the same setup. You have a view teams here. If you go to the paths and learning and pathways based camp, it brings you to this page. When you hit view teams, it lets you see the same as in pathways when you can see each member. You can click on each person and see if they've done the work that they're supposed to. The same as pathways. It only shows what's active. Since my Speechcraft work sessions have been completed in May, to show you what I'm talking about, I have to go to the completed drop-down menu. And you want to click on coordinator tracking. Now this will tell you completed. If they didn't do their self-assessment, it will tell you that it needs to be activated, just like in pathways. If they opened it and viewed it, this will say launch and this will say in progress. The coordinator tracking, that's where you want to go. And then it'll say speech tracking and you want to view the details. And this will tell you whether or not they've come into their own base camp and did the necessary steps to mark that they've completed a speech project. It's a little bit different than in pathways. Sometimes you don't know whether a member completed it or not because they may have done a speech at another club or something like that. But in this case, they're going to do their speeches in your Speechcraft sessions, so you will know. And you want to make sure that you tell them that after they give their speech, they must come into their Basecamp portal and mark the project complete. You need to come here and verify that they did that. Then once you do that, log out of the Basecamp portal, just like you would in Pathways, on this cogwheel or the setting symbol, and hit log out. It's not going to log you out of the portal, it's just going to log you out of Basecamp for them. And I may have gone an extra step that I didn't have to. You may have been able to go back to learning, I'm not sure. But this is the one important step as the Speechcrafter coordinator you must do. You must validate their speeches were completed, because that is the way Toastmasters International is going to know that they've completed their projects. And this is the screen you're going to get. Just put in the date of your meeting and the completion time. And then what you need to do is to search an existing training. And then you'll get this pop-up over here on the right. Let's say they did their icebreaker. All you have to do is type in icebreaker. You have to type in the topic that was covered for their speech. And you see, you get an automatic pop-up and you hit material. Then the screen changes and it says Speechcraft icebreaker and the date's there. But now you have to add the attendees. So you have to hit next. And they're going to tell you to add the attendees. And you add the attendees there. And everyone, all 5 of your Speechcrafters will show up. And you just hit select. I think there's a select all, but I don't see it. Right. There might be a select all. All right. And then what you would do, you would hit save. And once you hit save, the new screen's going to show you this. And you can do a bulk record. If you select all, you can do a bulk record and it will record everyone as having completed that. The next screen will come up and you will have to mark that they completed it. So if you hit bulk score, then the next screen will come up. and then you mark record. If I deselect all, and let's say I just select the first one and I hit record, this is the result. This is what you're going to have to mark. And I don't score, I just say that they completed. So that's the screen you would see. It's real important that you validate each speech that they completed. Otherwise, they will not get credit from Toastmasters organization when they go to join another club. That's the way TI knows that they completed it. And down at the, all right, so that's that. Let's go back to learning. Session 8 overview. All right, we're going to have to go back to home. Your dashboard. I showed how you can check individually if they've done their homework or the lessons. What I was concerned about in the beginning is the Speechcraft assessment. And I could tell whether they did their before assessment before we met. It's important that they complete the before assessment before your first meeting. It's only something they receive and you as the coordinator receive. And it's basically a survey asking them how they feel about their ability with public speaking. Then at your midway point of your session, they are to do another self-assessment. And this one, naturally, is supposed to say that they've improved. It reminds me of the self-assessments that we do in Pathways, before and after each of our projects. And we have to do the after, so that Pathways, so that Basecamp knows the project is done and we get a check mark. In this case, they don't have to do the after assessment to get the check mark, because as you will see here, if I refresh the after assessment, I think there's one or two that didn't do the after assessment and their projects are marked complete. And it's the same thing as the dashboard in Pathways. It's the same thing. Yes, I only had one in this group that did the after assessment. The others didn't do it, even though they were told several times, reminded several times. All right. And then this tells you how far they're doing on their learning and progress. And this tells you their speech completion. This tells you that they marked their speeches completed in their Basecamp portal. And it tells you the projects that they completed. And that's what's important, that they completed all their speeches. How much more? You know. Okay. So we're going to go out of that and go home. There's something else I want to show you. All your session resources are here in one place too. If you don't want to, you can open your sessions here as well. If in the beginning you just want to download everything at once, it gives you all the resources here, all in one slot as well. And as you can see, the agendas are posted there. They give you multiple places in which to retrieve the information. Decide where you want to get it from and continue with that method, because otherwise it can get confusing. There's one other thing I want to show you, and it is in this, when you do the speech validation, I want to go to the learning. I want to go in here. I haven't gone in here yet, so that's why I want to show you. Again, all the sessions are here in the overview. I want to go to view teams. Again, once you've completed your Speechcraft session, workshop, Every member who participated, every participant receives a certificate for participating in the Speechcraft workshop. That doesn't mean that they had to complete every project. If they attended a workshop and completed 2, 3 speeches, even if they only completed 1, they get a certificate saying they were a Speechcraft participant. Speechcraft learning, and I want to go to complete it. Again, we're in the person's individual base camp portal. All the way down at the bottom. This is when you don't go to the coordinator tracking. You remain in the individual Speechcraft portal, as you can see. They're learning, pass and learning page type of thing, and all the way down at the bottom, it'll say activate Speechcraft certificate. You activate it and you launch it. And then the Speechcrafter can get their certificate. They can download it themselves because it had been activated, and you activated it and you told Toastmasters International if they complete it. And all it says, it gives the person's name, recognition, became a certified Speechcrafter. Doesn't mean they completed everything. The other thing you can do with this is you can download it and do a presentation meeting with them and present them with their certificates to make it fun for them. So now we're going back to home. And I'm going to log out of their portal. And it's going to bring me back to my home page. And there's a frequently asked questions page here as well. I'm going to sign out of the portal. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. Speeches. It looks like not all. They did do their speeches on the bar grass. It's they did. Not everyone did. You're right. Some had to drop out, but I still gave them a certificate for personal reasons. They couldn't continue. One only did 1 speech. I had one that only could do 3 workshops, and due to personal reasons had to drop out. And she didn't come to the award ceremony, but I still sent her certificate and told her kudos. And you build a bond with them. That's what happened with me. Built a bond with them. I had them come to my clubs to finish their speeches because some had to miss meetings because of personal reasons. I belonged to several clubs. I coordinated with them and with my clubs because my goal was to get them through all their speeches. That's what it's about. It's about them and about their learning. And life happens, that's okay. I got a hold of them and I wouldn't let them go until they completed. And the ones that couldn't for personal reasons, even after I reached out to them and offered them opportunities after opportunities, they just couldn't, and that's okay. And I had to learn to let them go and not pester them. But I loved every one of them. My guides were absolutely superb. We worked well as a team. We collaborated well. And it is such an awesome experience when you share your knowledge and you give that gift to somebody else. Did they join my club? No. They want to start their own club. They only have 10, so they can't start one yet. But there's hope for them. But when you give with love, the return is just, they may not join your club in particular, but that's okay. Because you know what? You gave them some tools to be a better version of themselves, and they're going to do that. And that's what it's about being a Speechcraft coordinator for me.
And there
Any
is a
questions?
question. Yep, there's a question from Tamika. Are you still able to get credit towards your DTM even if some of the speech crafters don't complete the program?
Yes. Yes. Yes, because you completed it, and you also have to go in and mark that you completed and get your certificate and save that certificate, because I'm finding out for because I'm working on DTM 2 and 3 at the same time, that they want to know when you completed it and then to contact them when you're ready to get credit for it. So I don't know what that means, but I have both of my certificates. It only counts as one for me. So that's the other thing. If you're the coordinator for both, doesn't count as two separate Speechcraft coordinating sessions. It only counts as one. So I did double the work, but that's okay. And it counts for one DTM project. But when I go to file for my DTM, I'm going to call them and say, what do you mean? If I just give you the date of the certificate, so make sure you get your certificate from the portal, because you only have up to 90 days after your last session. So I went in there and downloaded everything that I didn't download before. I downloaded every slide, did my own slide presentations for every sessions. Every slide for the coordinator I have. They're my resources, but I can't give them to you. They're mine, and I have them to refer to for future. And that's what I did. And I downloaded everything and did my own presentations and put all that material together. And to be organized is the key, and to organize it by session, because it makes you prepared and it's easier to conduct. And I also send thank yous to each of my guides and supporters throughout. And they all got certificates from me for their participation. Yes, Mary Jo, you have a question.
Yes, had you been a guide multiple times before you became the coordinator?
No, it was my first experience with Speechcraft, and I was petrified because they wanted to start in January, and Rhonda told me in December, and I couldn't find information on Speechcraft. And I'm like, oh my God, there's just no way. And then when I went into the portal and I'm looking, they're saying these educational resources, education. I'm like, where am I going to get this presentation? I completely forgot about the Better Speaker series, and I have that all downloaded on my computer, every one of them. And when I went to this one training on Speechcraft, the person never mentioned, and the people there were only just starting out, had no idea. So I was a little further along what I was looking for. I'm like, oh man, an hour of my time. And then she said something about resources, and I put in chat, I said, you mean the Better Speaker series? She says, yes. I'm like, it was worth my hour just to figure out where to get the educational resources to prepare for the presentations. It's the best kept secret of Toastmasters. I'm telling you that right now. It's the best kept secret. And we need to get that information out there. This is so useful. We could grow our memberships exponentially if we can have access to this material and promote it. And that's what's so important. And that's why I started my webinars. And I will tell you, mine is very in-depth. I'm very detail-oriented, and I go the whole 9 yards. I do understand there are people out there that do a 4-session, and it's not as complicated. I just don't know how to do it that way. I'm not that smart to do it that way. I have to do the long process, because you know what? I learn out of it too. And they learn too. And then you have that relationship, which is just awesome. Yes, Jen.
Well, I want to begin by saying thank you so much for such a powerful and informative sessions on Speechcraft. When I was trying to do this and I asked around in my district, including 2 past district director, and people haven't really done it since we transitioned to the digital bundle. So thank you so much for doing it, and then come and tell us everything that you have learned. Couple of questions here. I know that you also have 2 other master class on October 30th and November 11th. Are those the same material? Would there be more?
I'm doing this session on the 11th to follow up with Cheryl Rouse's. So whoever misses this and then goes to
Okay.
Cheryl's, they'll get the marketing, but they won't get the in-depth coordinator information. So I'm going to follow her, because generally
Okay.
we schedule these every other month. So I'm doing a special one after Cheryl's on October 30th. I'm doing mine November 11th to follow
Right.
hers. And then my next one is in December. And it's the exact, my presentations are exactly the same. But I
Okay.
would definitely attend Cheryl's because she has some tips, and she's a motivational speaker, and she gets you all excited about how you can market this. And she even recommends doing it within a club setting. I personally cannot see doing that. Doesn't benefit them, but if you can do it, more power to you. I'm just not that talented.
All right. I'm definitely going to send some other people from District 25 here.
Yes. Yes, do it. And someone, Tamika, where are you from? You're from District 119. She is volunteering to be a guide. If anyone is doing a Speechcraft. So Tamika, put your email in there in case someone's thinking, and then they can grab your email.
Oh,
And
that'd be awesome.
you have a volunteer already. She can do an education presentation. She can be your table topics master. She can come to all your meetings and take each of the meeting roles. That's what, so you get involved with your speech crafters. Sue Brooks came back to every one of mine. She got such a thrill out of being with the speech crafters. She was an educational presenter. And then she came and she did every meeting role. And she just loved it. So it's well worth your hard work and effort. And that's where I get my pleasure in helping others to show them. And they were inspired to do it. I just couldn't inspire them and motivate them enough to join a club. And sometimes that just can't happen because they got so much in their lives. But you know what? They remember that Speechcraft experience. And when they join a Toastmasters club, they're going to draw on that when they're ready. You know, someone told me when I was in Amway years ago in the late 90s, the teacher will appear when the student is ready. And that is so true. And that's what I have to keep in mind. So sometimes all your enthusiasm can't bring them to the table, but that's okay. It's an experience they'll never forget. And I still have some of them come to a meeting every once in a while at one of my clubs. And that's just awesome. Any further questions? All right. Well,
And I'm so,
yes.
I apologize. Are we going to be able to receive a copy of this presentation? No,
Rhonda is going
Understood.
to, she will publish it on our YouTube,
understood.
but it's not
Wonderful.
downloadable.
Wonderful. Okay.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
she will publish it on the
Great.
YouTube, but it won't be downloadable, which in a way is good because I am showing the Speechcraft
Of
portal,
course.
and I want to make sure
Absolutely.
I don't get in trouble and they ask me as a
And we don't
Toastmaster,
want
because
you in
I don't know
trouble.
what I would do if I wasn't in Toastmasters.
And we don't
I'd
want
miss
you in
it.
trouble. So
So
we'll follow whatever is supposed to happen. We don't want to lose you. Thank you.
But-
This was great.
So go and let me know. I'll give you all my email, and I want to know if you do proceed with it and how you make out. If you will at least let me know, and then if you have any questions, I'll put my email out there. But I want you to have so much success. It is a way to grow your membership if it's done right, and it's well worth it. And like I said, you can tease them with a 4 session and then just tell them, well, if you want to know more, you have to be a Toastmaster. And guess what? I can offer you a free membership. See, this is what I'm learning from attending marketing events. We changed the terminology. It's not a fee, it's a tuition the club is charging. So we are charging you $70, $75. And at the end of it, you tell them, we can offer you a free membership. It's marketing.
That's a brilliant
nothing-
idea.
Yes. And I got it from attending a marketing session, and all because Cheryl Rouse referred to it as a tuition. And I'm like, oh, and then she said offer. So this isn't an original idea. I picked it up from someone else, and it's beautiful. And it's ethical. It's not unethical. Okay, because you are allowed to use it as a fundraising event. 8.2, make sure you read that and understand that. You can use it as a fundraising event. And someone said to me, well, what happens if they don't join your club? What happens to the money? It's a fundraising event. It's your money. But make sure it goes through the treasurer. You don't want any ambiguity about how that money was funneled. Some club says, well, we don't have a bank account. You have a treasurer, right? Everything goes through the treasurer, and it has to be transparent. Remember the core values of Toastmasters. And the most important one is the ethics. They're all important, but being ethical and making sure you're transparent is so important. So go have fun, make money for your club, and offer free membership.
Ooh.
Win-win.
And thank you so much. This was
Thank you.
great.
I lost some people. I know it's long. I'm sorry, but it is very, very involved, as you see, being a coordinator. I can't short circuit it.
It is complex until you learn it.
Mhm.
And then it's not as really steep learning curve too, because so much of it's intuitive
Right.
and from knowing pathways. So everybody, don't be daunted by all the steps and everything, because it's easier than you think
Yes, it is.
to
Great.
learn it. And it is all the wonderful I've taught 2 Speechcrafts so far, Anne, and I'd just like to give you a big hug for what you said at the end with building the bonds, thanking everyone, making sure, and that's how you keep these people in the community, and talking up Toastmasters too, even if they don't join.
And
They-
Emily, if I
And-
could just mention one thing, and I'm your #1 fan, and Anne had the opportunity to assist a bunch of volunteers for a cancer research foundation, the Orally Cancer Research Foundation, which was a cause that was near and dear to my heart. I knew it from a distance. I supported this because the woman who's the scientist is young, a Black woman, family history of cancer, and she's using nanotechnology, which wasn't even her scientific discipline, to address the cancer cells, and she looks like she's making advancements. So Anne should rest very easy every night knowing that she helped to pour into the people who are volunteering with this foundation that could have a breakthrough in cancer research. I think that is very, very powerful in and of itself, is that we don't know how we are. I did a speech last week called the butterfly effect, and it's just talking about the small flaps of a butterfly can create a tornado halfway around the world, theoretically. And again, what Anne has done is flapped her wings in hopes of making this enormous consequential impact, not only to the foundation, but to the people that the foundation will ultimately benefit. So kudos to you, Anne. Again,
Thank you.
Toastmasters extends well beyond our club, our area, division, or district.
Thank you all.